Basically, when I got this idea, I'm going to sell bento boxes online. Some people actually said it will never work. Why do they want to sell bento boxes abroad? They have lunch at school, they don't need a bento, why are you selling that? A couple of months after we launched, we were in Le Monde, in Air France magazine, in a few newspapers in France. 6 months later, the New York Times. Don't wait for people to help you to start. And something I understood like 2 years later. Even if you're a small business and you want to, I don't know, like make a collaboration with the big companies, if you got an idea, if you think it will work, just try to. You have to try.
Hey there, and thank you for tuning in. We're excited to bring you another great conversation today. If you like the show and want to support us, please hit the subscribe button so we can keep bringing you great content week after week. And if you're feeling extra generous, give this video a like and share your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you so much. And now, let's get into it. Welcome to Unpacking Japan. I'm Toby, and today we welcome Thomas in the studio. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
You're the founder of Bento Co and Ship Co, two companies based out of Kyoto. The first one, you work with a lot of local craftsmen around Japan to produce bentos and ship them worldwide. And the other one is a logistics service, which is super interesting because it kind of was born out of the necessity of developing your first company.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into your journey in entrepreneurship and maybe start at the very beginning about what brought you to Japan in the first place.
First, as many French of my generation, I watched Japanese anime when I was like 8 years old, playing Super Nintendo, Game Boy, and so on. So when I was a kid, I just loved, video games and anime. And I said, maybe one day I would like to go to Japan. And but in university, I got this chance to study 1 year Kyoto University. So in 2003. So just spent 1 year in Kyoto, and it was beautiful. And I said, I would like to stay 1 more year. So I just went back to France for 2 months, took a working holiday visa, come back here, study Japanese a bit, doing some baito, and I'm gonna stay 1 more year. It has been 22 years now.
What was it in that first year at the university in Kyoto that made you feel like, oh, I like it here, I want to stay?
I think it's really about the city. Maybe it would be different if I've been in Osaka and Tokyo. I mean, I love Tokyo and Osaka too, but less than Kyoto, definitely. It has been a long time now, but I still remember like the smells and humidity and heat and but all the good things. Like also like as a very nostalgic reminders of what you feel even when you're a child and you go, I don't know, first time in a big city or in the mountain, and it's the same. So there's a lot of nostalgic feeling around that. And just like I really liked, because I'm not coming from like a big city in France, and so Kyoto is like as big, is like there's enough, there's everything you would want, but see, it's very close to nature. You see the mountain, you see the river, and I really like that part.
So you can also escape nowadays the big groups of tourists that are kind of around the center and still have a nice part of Kyoto for yourself.
Yes. A lot of people say online that, Kyoto is too crowded now. It's true that in some places there's a lot of tourists, but in many parts of the city it's completely fine. And you have to be in Kyoto for a long time to finally discover like all these small temples that are really nice with nice gardens and some bars and restaurants where you can be very quiet and enjoy life.
So as a student, you liked Kyoto so much, in fact, that you actually started a blog.
Yes.
It was titled La Rivière aux Canards, which basically translates as Kamogawa, the river that flows through Kyoto.
River, yeah.
Why the desire to write a blog, and what kind of did you want to share in there?
There's no Facebook, no Twitter, no Instagram at that time, right? So like if you like back in 2004, like internet was using email, checking the news, nothing else. And came the blog and the first solution online, you just create a blog by just, add your email and password and boom, you got your own website.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay, I can give some news to my family and my friends through the blog. So that's just the first, sharing about what I'm doing in Kyoto. And there's a few French bloggers in Tokyo at that time, but no one from Kyoto. So I was lucky to be the only one blogging from Kyoto at that time. And a lot of people who love Japanese cultures, they were reading my blog every day. And every day, it was after I was a student. I was working in Osaka actually at the time, and I was also like doing a baito in a restaurant in Kyoto. And I just every day I was doing something in my work at like visiting a cafe and restaurant. And just wanted to blog about it and sharing about like good thing and not so good thing about Japan. And that's it. And I made a lot of friends and connections because of it.
I can imagine at the time, especially without so many blogs being out there and the internet and social media being so saturated, that kind of really must have opened a lot of interesting doors already.
There were less people on the internet in 2004, 2005. But I would say you didn't need like 2 million followers on TikTok like today, right? Like I think I had like about 500 to 1,000 of visitors on my blog every day. And that's kind of huge for like a blog only in French. So I got like interviewed on French radio a couple of times. TV talked about my blog. It's just, it was not even a business. It was just like, something I like to do every day for like 30 minutes to 2 hours. But it really helped me to, it's something I understood later on, that without my blog, I will still not be here and I will not do what I'm doing now.
You mentioned it's not a business. It was just something you like to do. But eventually you transitioned to entrepreneurship here in Japan. Was working the blog and kind of seeing that it was getting a big readership also already kind of making you think about, oh, maybe I can turn this blog into something?
Exactly. Actually, I was also like following other bloggers. And there's one blogger in my hometown in France, Saint-Etienne. The guy was blogging about his entrepreneurship journey. Basically, it was like selling T-shirts with customers designed. So he was asking graphic designer to share design. People could vote online on his blog, and every design got like more than 500 votes. He just print them on 500 different T-shirts, and they sold like in 2 days usually. And he was very successful. And he was blogging about it every day. It was just completely like transparent, public about how much money he was making and how the business was doing, like good things and bad things. And I was really like passionate about like this, and say now people are reading. Some people are reading my blogs, and probably they trust me because they read me every day, and they love Japanese culture. So I should maybe sell something from Japan to friends, and that's how it started actually.
And it started with bento.
Exactly, bento boxes, so without the food inside. But yeah, I think it's just for about 6 months or even more, I was like thinking about what can I sell from Japan, what can I ship. I didn't know anything about online sales and logistics at that time. And I remember one of my brothers bought a bento boxes in Japan as a souvenir for himself, pack his food to go to work. And my mom told me once, on phone, oh, I read this magazine and they showed bento recipes in France. And so it really popped up in my head, bento boxes, that's maybe the idea. And I made a very quick search online and found out that there's many sellers on eBay selling bento boxes, and mostly like cute, kawaii bento boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And but not the normal bento boxes that everyone could bring out to work. Not too cute, because
something more elegant, crafted.
Yeah. Also, because if you work in maybe if you work like a normal company, I would say you don't want like a Hello Kitty or Toto on your bento boxes. You want something more like chic, just maybe some small sakura on it. But anyway, okay, I just figured out, let's try to sell bento boxes. But in my heart, I was deeply, deeply sure that it will work. I don't know why.
I was going to ask why.
I don't know. I said, I'm sure it's going to work. And I remember still that day, I got God telling me, you need to sell bento boxes. It's going to work. And I blogged about it. I told I'm going to start selling bento boxes. And a couple of guys I met through my blog helped me actually to set up a business. Started also with my wife. I got, I bought like for 500 euros worth of inventories at first, put them on the dining table, and we started like that.
So yeah, I want to ask a little bit about like how you actually got this started. You have the idea selling bento boxes. So I imagine, okay, you need to set up an online shop, you need to register the company, but also you don't make bentos yourself.
No.
So how did you go about kind of finding the products and setting up all the logistics?
I just went in Tokyo or store in Japan and I looked at the bento boxes. Some of them were nice. Just wrote down the maker's name and we contacted them. And they sent, two of them sent us catalogs and we placed 2 orders. But as I say, like something around like 500 euros at the time. So we got just about 10 different items to start with. Cash on delivery. It was not yet a registered company. It was not a kabushiki gaisha. And and that's how. And to sell online, the timing was perfect. So a system called Shopify, Canadian company, they started in 2006 and actually used their beta in 2006 when I used to work in a Japanese company in Osaka to start an online store. And basically, even like so, more than 15 years ago, if you had Shopify and a PayPal account, you could start to sell online easily.
Shopify is from 2006.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that. So you were like riding the way from the very beginning with
on my blog I was talking about Japan, Japanese culture, Kyoto, and what was really new at that time is Web 2.0. So like SaaS, like solution like Shopify. And a friend was a developer, told me about Shopify, and I opened an account. I think it was one of the first, because it was in the beta, basically. And I opened a store for a Japanese company based in Osaka. So I kind of learned, thanks to my blog, how to open an account on Shopify, how to start selling online. Take pictures and put them online and writing about the product. Everything was kind of related to my blog.
It all comes back to that. And I imagine then you were able to tell your readers, okay, we have a website live, we have some stock,
exactly.
Here are the bentos.
Yeah.
And they went for it.
Yeah. But some people actually said it will never work. Like people don't need bento box in France, and like the kids, they have lunch at school, they don't need a bento. Why are you selling that? Still, these comments are still online. But yeah, people who read my blog became the first customers, and other bloggers talked about it. Someone I met through my blog had his sister working as a PR firm in Paris, and she told me, "Oh, just send me like a few products." And she introduced my site, Bento Co, to some journalists in France. And a couple of months after we launched, we were in Le Monde, in Air France magazine, in a few newspapers in France. It was amazing. And 6 months later, the New York Times even did a very long story about bento culture, and it talked about us. And something I understood like 2 years later. When we started, it was November 2008. It was like a couple of months after Lehman Brothers shut down, financial crisis, economical crisis in North America, in Europe, in Japan. And so more and more people wanted to spend money for lunch. So instead of going outside, even in Europe and US, we said we're going to pack our lunch and go to work. So the timing was right actually for bento boxes.
Now, from there, you wanted to develop the company, I imagine. Your idea at the very beginning, you went to Tokyo Hands, you found some of the sellers that sell the bentos there, and you got your first round of supplies. But then you went deep down the rabbit hole of bento boxes and bento making. Can you tell us a little bit about this? Because to my understanding, there's a lot of craftsmanship that also goes into this.
So basically at first it was really like opening catalogs from makers and buying stuff that you could already find at Tokyo Hands or like other stores in Japan, what we call Zaka, right? I think a year and a half after we started the business, one of the biggest maker from Ishikawa, Kaga, they came to our house, and the CEO and two other employees, and they wanted to talk with us, and they said they were very surprised because when they get an order from us, they really question themselves, why do they want to sell bento boxes abroad? They never imagine actually to export outside of Japan. They sold a little bit maybe in Korea, sometime in Taiwan, but like selling bento boxes outside Japan was not, part of their plan. And after a few years, we presented like kind of a serious percentage of their sales doing only export. And I was really happy about that. And we started working more with them to make bento boxes more crafted to foreigners. I mean, most of the bento boxes we sell well in Japan, sell also well outside of Japan. But there's some trends, or like the size as well, because you don't put the same kind of food in Japan.
Oh, yeah, true.
Like if you put rice, you don't need a very big bento boxes. But if you use your bento box like to put salads or pasta, the box needs to be a bit bigger. And there was this trend at that time, like of I think it was an Australian company making like small kokeshi design, cute kawaii kokeshi, just to put as an interior object. And I remember that and told the makers like we should have kokeshi look like bento boxes, and they made one, and it has been like bestsellers for 10 years. So it was really a mix of finding like very good products that was already available in Japan and bringing new ideas, new design to some of the makers and to export more.
What was it like building the relationship with this kind of more traditional crafts company out of Ishikawa? You said that they were surprised at first because they never really thought about selling overseas, and suddenly you're making requests for custom bento, kokeshi doll shaped bentos. So I imagine you need to kind of build a sort of relationship that they kind of understand. This is not just like a temporary thing. You're building something serious here, and there are opportunities also for them to grow.
Frankly, it wasn't that difficult, especially with all the companies in Kaga. It's very quite friendly. With one of the makers, actually, we have a very good relationship, almost like a friend with us here. We did some trade shows abroad together. We went to some very important trade shows in Paris, in Germany, 6 times. So, like spend 1 week abroad, going on restaurants together in the evening. It's really, really cool. So I guess depending on where you work in Japan, if you work in the martial art industry, it's completely different from what I heard. But in the kitchenware, bento boxes, and craftsmen we work, and we also work with like craftsmen who work from home, wooden boxes. They are all super nice, and they take a nap after lunch. So it's not the Japan you can imagine sometimes. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't wear suits to visit them," and it's kind of relaxed, I would say.
Do you know a little bit about the history of these bentos that are made in Kaga? Why is there such a concentration?
Exactly. So Kaga is very interesting. So it's in an area called Yamanaka Shiki in Kaga, in Ishikawa Prefecture. So it's between Fukui and Kanazawa, and they used to make a lot of lacquerware. Basically, there's a lot of craftsmen making lacquerware at home for years. And with during the 70s and 80s, as more and more Japanese salarymen needed bento boxes in plastic because it's way more practical to bring at work and to wash. So they're starting to make bento boxes in plastic. But still, the craftsmen, they actually put some design kind of like a lacquerware, I would say, using silk screen print techniques, all manual. So there's really, even if it's like some bentos are made in plastic, the quality is really high. And all the process is made in the same town, which is kind of amazing as well. There's this big company getting like the plastic raw materials and making the box's shape. And then it goes to some craftsmen who work from home, and they put colors and design on it using a silk screen printing. And there's in the same time like 5 or 6 different companies having their own catalog, their own design and sales.
So they all do everything in-house, and they all help each other out in a way to produce
so like
parts.
Some craftsmen, they're working for 2 or different makers, yes.
What makes these bento so special? Like if you just see them in a shop and you have not really had a bento in your life before, what can you pay attention to realize, okay, this is a nice piece of craftsmanship and not just something that is cheaply mass produced?
Some of the bento box that we started to sell in 2008, I still have, in my kitchen. I don't know, we didn't broke. We can still use them. So I think it's quite, it tells about the quality. When you just look at the design, you see it's not something like made cheaply. Like some of the bento boxes, like they have some very nice sakura motif on it and kind of gold powder on it. It's all really one by one, made like it's color per colors. It takes a lot of work. So we cannot produce like 100,000 of similar design like that. So it tells you. But we also sell bento boxes made of wood. Some coming from Akita Prefecture, some Magewapa. So it's all wood, cedar tree from Akita, and it smells very well, very good. It's really good with rice. The smell of rice and the cedar match very well.
Yeah, I can imagine. Depending what food you put inside, also the material of the box is important.
Material of the box, the shape of the box. So basically, at home, I have a few different bento boxes, and it's depending on, today I want to eat that, so I'm going to use these boxes, or today I want to use this box, so I'm going to cook this.
Becomes very complex.
No, actually, instead of going into a convenience and buying food, which is not super good, and eat that, take a bit of time to buy your own, ingredients and cook. It's good for, your brain. It's good for the earth. It's good for you actually, because if people like to cook, I would really recommend to make your own bento. You have to think a bit about it.
I imagine at the time the company started doing well, you've been on the New York Times, you've been in a few magazines, people start buying your bento and you start building the relationship. And so you started to thinking about maybe scaling this a little bit more, not just the 500 from your living room, but that cannot have been just so easy to just like, okay, let's scale and grow the company.
Yeah, frankly, I don't know if I'm good at business anywhere. I was happy to start that, and I got ideas, way to do like, especially for marketing. We wanted to try new things, and we still try to do things that kind of interesting way. And the first site we opened was only in French. At first, as I said, like 10 different items. And then we scale, starting selling small accessories for bento, and then kitchenware, furoshiki, wrapping clothes. We try stationery at one time. We try like gadget toys as well. But then we really focus on bento boxes and kitchenware. But then we open like a store in English, and then Japanese, and then B2B as well, online. And B2B is not something I really planned, but we got like requests from stores in Europe or in Australia. So I want to sell the same thing you sell in my store. Okay, so let's start a B2B store. And we did actually quite well on B2B for many years. We did a lot of trade shows, and we sell bento boxes to famous chef as well, a 3 stars Michelin chef in France, to like chain store as well in some countries, thousands of boxes. So it was, good way. And in 2012, we opened a retail store in Kyoto, so brick and mortar store.
So also selling like locally within Japan.
Exactly. It really was like same, like didn't have a clear business plan in mind, but it was an opportunity. We had to move because the house we rented, basically we were working on the first floor and I was living upstairs. It was too small for the stock and us and the employees we had. So we found this building downtown Kyoto, and the location was great. So if we have a warehouse here, we should definitely have a store on the first floor, on ground floor. And that's why in April 2012, we opened the store.
It sounds like you mentioned no clear plan, but whenever there was an opportunity, you were like, okay, let's
it's all
go
about
for
timing,
this.
Yes. Yeah. Timing was very important every time. Yeah.
Where now you have a website in English, you sell and ship worldwide. Do you notice any patterns, like which countries see the rise of popularity in bento more than others?
Yeah, so at first I was only really to France because as French, the site was in French and it's where so people read my blog and so on. So I guess it's all about marketing. I guess if I was German or Spanish, it would be different. But then after we opened the store in English for a few years, like obviously like, orders from the US, grew way more than Europe and France, especially. US is a big market for many online sellers in Japan because it's a big market. Still, for at least 2 years, it's easy to sell to the US. There's no customs and taxes for now. When you ship something that costs less than $800 to the US, it will change in 2 years. Exactly. But yeah, so and there's a lot of people obviously who are into Japanese cultures in the US as well. I don't like to see like trends about bento. Maybe it was true at first, but now I will hopefully, I think it's something that is commonly known by many people. And unless we don't have good product, I think we can still be like successful. We still need to be like to push to get like interesting and fun items and do good marketing. And if we push for that, if we should sell well in many different markets.
Because it's interesting. It is a very Japanese product, the bento, but it's now known internationally as well with the same name too. But what it is just a lunchbox. Yeah. So it's kind of a different way to approach lunch, not just into a Tupperware, but
exactly,
a Japanese bento. Your company grew and eventually decided to branch out and kind of start a second company called Bento Co. How did that one kind of come to be?
So we made Bento Co for us at Bento Co because we were like getting orders and we had to ship every day. And if you get an orders and you have to ship it, you need to print. You put the box, the bento box in the box. And you print the shipping labels. You put the labels on the box, and you give it to FedEx, DHL, Japan Post. Right. Making the shipping labels and the customs invoice, because it has to go through customs clearance, take a lot of time. So like I remember like when I was doing that myself in 2012, 14, I was just copy pasting our customers' addresses on FedEx website and copy paste, the items name and product price. It took like between 4 to 6, 7 minutes if you don't make any error per order. So if you got like 100 orders a day, it takes many hours, too much. So basically, we wanted to make this kind of automatic. And at that time, as 2015, 16, there was some solution in the US that existed. You could connect your Shopify store to FedEx or DHL, but there's nothing similar in Japan. So we decided to make our own solution and for us. But when we saw that it was working well, I told about it to some friends. We were also like selling online, and that's how it started.
So you start basically a logistics service that helps to print labels and facilitate and automate the label printing between a variety of services. So like a private e-commerce shop and like the couriers.
Yeah.
Are there specificities to like the way Japanese couriers operate, like Yamato or Japan Post, that are kind of very unique that were like a challenge to get into?
Yes. So when we started, it was only like for international services. So FedEx, DHL, Japan Post International. But like the big market for us was also like Japan domestic. It's huge. I think Japan is considered the third or fourth largest domestic e-commerce market in the world. Okay. Yamato, they are like delivering 5 to 7 million parcels every day.
Wow.
That's a lot. Sagawa is second for about 4 or 5 million, and then Japan Post with U-Pack. So first of all, we needed to get access to Yamato and Sagawa API system, to connect with their system, to be able to create the Yamato or Sagawa shipping labels into our solution. It took me more than a year of talks with Yamato and Sagawa.
How do you approach these huge logistics company if you're like a small entrepreneur who just started, like, hey, we are making these labels, we want to kind of not modify, but kind of bypass your system
exactly.
in a way.
Same timing, lucky. At first, I don't remember exactly, but we tried to connect with people who were like working for like Sagawa International or Yamato International, and we introduced, but didn't work. And one day in Tokyo, it was like startup event, and the guy who was sitting next to me, I saw his meishi, his business card was like Yamato Holdings. Oh, I'm lucky. And I I talked with him and explained what I was doing, and this guy gave me his business card, and I was able like to introduce me to the right people inside Yamato who were nice enough to will not say help me, but because it took months, but they were okay to understand, to listen to what we were doing, and finally they accepted to sign a contract with us. Because not only like go on FedEx developer's website, you sign in for an account and you get access to the API. It didn't work like that with Yamato. We had to go for talks, negotiation, contract, get access to it.
Is this perhaps one of the things that is making some of these larger corporations move slower than, let's say, foreign companies? Because you need to meet the right person, you need to talk to the right person within to kind of get access to slowly get change going.
At the same time, actually, I tried to do the same thing with French Post because we wanted to connect with any post anywhere, because we didn't have market fit yet in Japan. It wasn't working very well. So we said the most shipping carriers we get, more chance we get to get new users, by the way. And trying to work with French Post was as painful as working with Yamato, even though it was in Japanese, really. So I don't think it's like, a Japanese issue. I think it was very interesting because I remember like one of the meeting I had with Yamato, and at first they said yes, and then they said no, we cannot give you the API right away because it's summer, and it's in summers there's like all this business gift, so the activity is too intense. We cannot open our system to third-party solution like yours. You have to wait September. I was very, very angry about that. It doesn't make any sense for me. I was very angry as the entrepreneur, and I was very kind of amazed, but positively, as someone living in Japan who likes to watch the society and like in an external point, kind of like
to observe what's going on.
I studied political sciences and sociology, so I was two parts. Like on the business side, I was so frustrated and angry, and as someone also like living here and enjoying my life in Japan, I was like, amazed. Again, we have to wait, and for this, I was almost like crying and laughing at the same time. And you have to wait sometimes in Japan. It takes time. That's how it works.
It's interesting,
but it's not only in Japan. That's what I mean.
Yeah, France certainly has the same challenges with their postal services. But it's interesting because, so on the one hand, you've been working with your Bento company with like local craftsmen in Ishikawa, and with your logistics service, you're now working, connecting with these large logistics companies in Japan. In both cases, you get to see behind the scenes.
Exactly, yeah.
What kind of unexpected things have you been able to learn about life in Japan from these interactions?
It's really what online you see a lot of things, or Japanese like that, or Japanese are like that. And no, there's many type of Japanese. There's many Japan. There's like Japan of the countryside from Kaga, which is completely different from Utemachi in Tokyo. And and Yamato or Sagawa, there's big companies, but inside, like people working in this company are completely different as well. Well, I see like in management in Sagawa, it's only men. At Yamato, I see way more diversity.
Interesting.
In the employees working on the headquarters. So it's always interesting. I think a lot of foreigners, when you arrive in Japan and you try to do something, you want to kind of change Japan. You expect maybe we'll be able to bring something, and it's not easy. It's a big country. there's a lot of people who are living here, and it's not our country, I would
Mhm.
say. But you can have a small impact by doing an entrepreneurship, doing your own company here, or even as an employee, you can have an impact, and seeing like this, and trying to do that by talking to the right people inside one of a big company or small business, um, can change things, even like simple things, and that's exciting.
So you were able to talk to the right people. You got that API from Yamato and Sagawa, and suddenly you're able to offer this automation system for shipping labels to companies, not just yours, but everywhere. And suddenly you have a new company on your hands. And I imagine that there was like a lot of developments, especially recently. International logistics is constantly changing. There was COVID that probably affected a lot. How do you navigate these challenges, and perhaps what was one of the biggest challenges for you?
I mean, I guess entrepreneurship is always about like trying to find a solution to challenges. Um, we've got COVID. Before that, we got uh, the earthquake and tsunami affected us in some ways where like we're actually very positive, I would say.
2011.
Yeah, because a lot of we got, like, I remember at Bento Co, a few people actually canceled the orders because they didn't want to touch things from Japan because it could be like radioactive or whatever. But a few months later, we got actually huge surge in orders because people were looking to buy things from Japan to help Japan. And
Interesting.
it was one of our best Christmas season, 2020. And then got the volcanoes in Iceland,
Yeah.
who canceled flights for like weeks, a few weeks, a couple of weeks maybe. So no way to ship goods from Japan. Still, to wait. COVID, of course. Our store in Kyoto was closed for 2 years, and even if we are small businesses, we were able to actually survive all of this thing because of the diversification. We sell online to many different type of markets: B2B, B2C, retail store, Bento Co as well now, solution for B2B solution for businesses in Japan. So it's really about the challenges we got. Every time I would say it's because that I wanted to make something to solve a problem that we diversified, and it helped us to actually survive during this.
Is that the key
Fine.
for successful entrepreneurship here in Japan? Kind of somewhat of a diversification?
Probably anywhere, yes, especially if you're a small business. If you do just one type of thing, it might be difficult if something happens.
How many employees do you have nowadays?
About 15 now.
So from
In total, yeah.
From just writing a blog and starting a company yourself to now 2 companies and 15 employees, working basically internationally in a way and locally, domestically. Did you expect that when you were starting to write?
I didn't have any plan for that. No, it's really about, trying to make something I like, I enjoy. And, like a week, like a month before I started Bento Co, I actually went to an interview to work for a company in Tokyo. And it was dark and raining, and I didn't get the job. And I remember coming back to Kyoto and said, I don't want to leave. Actually, I want to work in Kyoto, so I have to make my own job. And that's how I found the gut to start it. And I don't regret that.
Do you feel that as a business owner in a city like Kyoto and as part of a community, it also changes how you interact with the local shops, with the local partners?
100%, yeah. I mean, especially in Kyoto, I've been very lucky also to meet some of the local craftsmen who are actually young people, also like kind of same as about between 35 to 50 years old, but they are doing the work of their father and grandfather, like generations. And some of them, they talk a lot about that, but they said we have to think about the next 100 years or 200 years. I think it's important, especially now, even if you sell online, you want to make sure that you follow the trend on TikTok and Instagram. Maybe not, actually. Maybe you need to be more creative and think in the more like future, long term, instead of always wanting to be on the, following what's going on now, because it's going to change in a month. Especially when we started e-commerce like 15 years ago, when we are not that fast, I would say. Now it's very quick and very volatile. Maybe better to get this Kyoto spirit and think more about the next 100 years.
It's interesting though, if you meet this kind of local craftsman and he's like, we're planning for the next 100, 200 years. But I would say that most young entrepreneurs nowadays are like, oh, I see a problem in society or in business or in somewhere that leads to an opportunity to create something, but we need to do this now and move very, very fast. But there's a lot of uncertainty in society. Like, is this still going to be relevant in 5 years from now or in a few years? But these guys don't seem to be concerned about that. It's like, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing for
still, the timing is important for like sub project inside your business. Like when we opened the store, is because the location, it was open, we were able to rent it. So you still have to find to build your own luck, and when the timing is right. But you still need to think about more, I think, long term than, oh, we need to do that next week because it's trendy on TikTok. I don't think, we depend on what you sell, but if you want to have your own brand and sell online or offline for the next 5 or 10 years, you still need to think more in the future than, one day, like in Kyoto, I was meeting a woman who live in the neighbors, and she asked me about my store, and I said, yeah, we just, there's been a 10th anniversary of our. Oh, he said, oh, it has been 150 years anniversary of a restaurant or store. So, we're still a long way to go. And but when you think about it, like, do you want to make something, for the next month or a few years, or do you want to build something more like for the future, and make sure that you have something viable that works for years? That's maybe more like better for even yourself and people around you.
You said earlier that entrepreneurship is basically solving all the problems that come along, which I can imagine can be very stressful if suddenly you have a big order going out and in the news you read, okay, Icelandic volcano erupts, all your flights are canceled, all your orders can't go out. You will have a cash flow problem, and that's very stressful. But if you take that mentality, like these local Kyoto stores or in Japan that have been open for over 100 years and so on, and kind of just think about the long term, does it make you feel like it's easier to manage these hurdles and to kind of continue to go over the challenges?
I'm not yet there. I'm not yet thinking about the next 100 years in my business. B2C or like online, like retail, is not. I mean, I think it was a lot of stress at the first years when Sagawa didn't deliver our stock before noon. They said they came at 2 p.m. I was angry at that. Now I really don't care if I have like 1 hour, if I were late. However, Bento Co, it's a B2B SaaS. We sell an API as well to big warehouses and companies in Japan. It has to work every day, every night. It's a lot of stress. And sadly, in tech, I don't know if we can think about the next 100 years. It's
because it evolves too fast.
I mean, the technology, right? It's about there's a lot of change, and we have to maintain it, and we have to make sure it's working, and we have to think about all the change, the updates to do, and it has to work every time, every day. That's not easy.
And then sometimes at 3 a.m. the API breaks, and your client wakes up in the morning and their orders were not processed. And
maybe it never happened to us like that, but we had, of course, some issues in the first years, and it's terrible.
Are you still writing the blog that you started?
No.
If you were writing this blog today, what will you write about?
After I started Bento Co, I lost the joy. I didn't know what to write, actually. I don't know. I would like to write more about like what I'm telling you now. like people I met through my work, how like we did the negotiation with Yamato or Sagawa, or when I visited Japan Post. Uh, that's super interesting, but I'm still really into that, and I don't know how to express it. But I really want to share about this. Maybe in a few months, in a few years, I will, because um, it's it's not only about like building a business. It's a lot about life in Japan, and meeting all these people and this corporation, and trying to understand the the way these big companies are thinking, and managing employees, and how you can take find the good guy inside this big corporation to work with you. It's very interesting, and there's a lot of things to say about that. So
I can imagine negotiations. It's like David versus Goliath in a way, and you have to kind of
yeah, and but still, I think it was interesting because even when we had some tough negotiation once with Sagawa, on a big project with them, we got one of their um, one of the not the CEO, but one of them VP
representatives
coming to our office with their lawyers and so on. It was super interesting, even though we are small. Basically, it was a negotiation between people, and I don't think it's only in Japan. But basically, when you talk with someone, even if they work in the big companies, they're just human, right? So you have to try. And that's also why even if you're a small business and you want to, I don't know, like make a collaboration with the big companies, just try to find the right guy who to send an email or to phone to and talk to, and you can move things. Because if you don't talk to a big corporation, you talk to some people inside, and some of them don't really care. They get paid the same amount of money at the end of the month, even if they don't do more work. But some of your people inside the big corporation, they want to do more like interesting work. So if you find these people, you can do more things.
What kind of advice would you give to people that are interested in entrepreneurship here in Japan that maybe find it very scary or find it like it looks too complicated to get started and so on?
Like before I started my business, I didn't start it because I think I didn't have, I was not brave enough, something. But also, you think about what if, do I need a license? Do I need do I have to ask the permission to someone? Kind of no. I mean, on my side, I was just married, so I didn't have any visa status issue here. I could stay in Japan. My wife is Japanese, but you don't need to ask someone if you want to sell. Basically, when I got this idea, I'm going to sell bento boxes online. I went to the tax office in Kyoto and I told them I'm going to sell online. I said, it's good, just write your address here. And 6 months, less than a year later, we were doing well. So we met with an accountant to work on accounting, because we couldn't do on our side, and it really helped us. So when you don't know something, just pay someone to do it for you, but don't wait for people to help you to start. If you got an idea, if you think it's going to work, just try to make it happen.
Is there a network in Kyoto especially to kind of help startups and entrepreneurs get going? Or do you feel like it's just once you're out there, you will meet people, there will be accountants, there will be lawyers who can just...
Well, I don't think there's no network. There are other people who do the same things maybe, and so you can meet with them and exchange ideas. But basically, you also still to think about to start yourself and try to figure out yourself. Don't expect other people to do something big, like to start. It has to be. I think like Kyoto and other cities, they have like the startup visa. Frankly, I don't know. Like, don't ask me how it works. I'm not sure. But the visa is not the main issue.
Now you have 2 successful companies that have been growing and growing. What are your plans moving forward?
I don't see that as super successful companies. There's always issues and problems to solve. So I wish we could open, like Bento Co is doing well. We have a retail store in Kyoto. It's a shame I don't have time and money to open stores in Osaka and Tokyo because there's so many tourists now coming to Japan. It would be good for that. Chip and Co, we can scale, we can get 10, 20, 50 times more customers for sure in Japan. The market is big and we are still, we are just starting, I feel. So we want to scale. And we want to, one time, feel that Chip and Co is helping many business, thousands of business in Japan to ship goods either domestically or internationally. But thanks to our experience with Bento Co on Shopify and selling bento boxes worldwide, we think I want to help more Japanese small and medium-sized businesses to ship abroad as well.
I think there's many opportunities yet to come.
Yeah.
And perhaps we'll be able to read all of this in a revamp of your blog, La Rivière au Canard, a second chapter, new stories and insights into entrepreneurship in Japan. Do you feel like we covered it pretty well so far? Was there maybe something that you would have liked to share or talk about that we didn't get into?
I don't know. I think we talk about this. You remember me also when you talk about the challenges and entrepreneurship in Japan, sometimes also online, we see a lot of foreigners living here and we're going to complain about how Japanese businesses are still using fax machine.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say always, we use fax machine the first 2 years of Bento Co because we needed to send a fax to purchase orders to the makers in Nishikawa. And but the thing is, it's the same as complaining about logistics warehouses companies using CSV Excel file instead of API. So there's business opportunities. They're using fax because maybe they don't have better solutions. Try to instead of complaining about the old school of Japanese company being old school, there's opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities for especially I would say foreigners who can maybe think out of the box and who have an ideas about bringing something different to Japanese businesses. So yeah.
So where there's a problem, where there's a pain point, there's also a solution and an opportunity to create a business perhaps.
Yeah.
And all you need is to get started.
Exactly.
Thomas, thank you so much for coming today. I know you have a full schedule this afternoon, so I don't want to hold you up any longer. It was super interesting to hear about your journey from how it all started from a blog into opening 2 companies here in Kyoto. If people are in Kyoto, maybe they can stop by Bento Co, and we'll make sure to link everything in the description.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Unpacking Japan, and we'll be back again next week. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future conversations. And we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this episode, here are a couple more that we think you'll enjoy. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you next time.